Hi everybody, it's Dan and welcome back to my kitchen. If you can't tell by my Sailor Moon hoodie, we are making another Sailor Moon themed cake. This time we're going to be making a Sailor Uranus inspired cake. TikTok has been loving my Sailor Moon inspired cakes. This moist and fluffy, melt in your mouth chocolate cake recipe is wrapped in a creamy, dreamy, and light vanilla buttercream that comes together so easily. Add some simple fondant techniques and hand-painted white chocolate decorations, you'll be able to capture all things Sailor Uranus in one delicious cake. It is going to be one amazing Sailor Moon themed cake and I can't wait to get started. I'll be sure to throw a link to the recipe down below in the description, where I'll share all my tips and tricks and everything special you're going to need to make your own Sailor Moon inspired dessert. And stay tuned at the end of the video for more information about the KitchenAid stand mixer giveaway. And of course, if you're new to my kitchen, don't forget to click subscribe down below and ring the bell so you don't miss out on even more Sailor Moon inspired dessert. Now let's go ahead, preheat our oven to 350 degrees, and let's get started on this chocolate cake that we're going to transform into something awesome from Sailor Moon. Our first step is going to be to grab a mixing bowl and add in 3 cups of flour, a ½ cup of cocoa powder, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, and 2 2/3 cups of white granulated sugar. Then we'll just go in with a hand whisk and really just whisk all these dry ingredients together until they are nice and combined. Once your dry ingredients are all whisked together, scoot those to the side, grab yourself another mixing bowl, and begin adding in your wet ingredients. So first up, let's add in a ½ cup of sour cream, 1 cup buttermilk at room temperature, 3 large eggs at room temperature, 1½ cups of fresh brewed coffee, 3/4 cup of vegetable oil, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Now let's just blend those together with our hand mixer, or you can use your hand whisk, until all these ingredients are fully incorporated together. Now with our wet ingredients all blended together, let's add those right into the dry ingredients and whisk them to combine. If you're using a hand mixer, mix these on a nice low speed. If you're using your hand whisk, don't go too crazy or too, gotta mix this up. Just a nice gentle whisk until your cake batter is just combined. Then we'll just add the batter evenly into our prepared cake pans, pop them in the oven, and let them bake for a good 40 minutes, or until your cake tester comes out clean. So our cakes have baked, they've cooled, I've halved and leveled all of them. Now it's time to fill and cover with some of our delicious fluffy vanilla buttercream. Now you can fill your Sailor Moon cakes with just about anything you'd like. If you're just adding a layer of buttercream between your cake layers, your frosting can have a thinner consistency and hold together just fine. I tend to add about a ½ cup of frosting between my 6-inch cake layers and spread it into an even layer. You want to be sure it's nice and level. One of the keys to a cake that doesn't wobble is those nice even layers. Continue to add your next layers of cake. I like to use a cake lifter for thinner cake layers to make sure they don't break apart. Once your cakes have been filled and stacked with that vanilla buttercream, you're ready to cover with even more delicious frosting. Once you've stacked and filled all your cake layers, your cake should look something just like mine here. You'll notice there's a fair amount of frosting hanging over the sides. I use this frosting to spread around the outside and top of my cake to create the crumb coat. The crumb coat is a thin layer of frosting on the outside of a cake that holds in the crumbs so they won't mix into your final layer of frosting. You can always add frosting to the cake for the crumb coat, but I find that having the frosting in the filling layers already spread out to the edges actually helps eliminate any potential air bubbles, which can get caught in the frosting and work their way out, giving your cake a very unlovely, kind of pimply look. Once you have your crumb coat, you are ready to frost your cake. If needed though, you can always refrigerate your cake prior to frosting it. Once your cakes have been filled and stacked with that vanilla buttercream, you're ready to cover with even more delicious frosting. So to get started from here, you'll want your piping bag filled with buttercream. Starting from the bottom of your cake, pipe your buttercream around the edge, trying to keep even pressure on the bag so that the layer of frosting is even. You will have multiple layers of piped buttercream here, depending on the height of your cake. The top layer needs to stick above the edge of the cake though. This will be important later for smoothing the top edges corners of your cake. When you're done applying the icing to the sides of the cake, it's time to smooth it over. This is where the icing smoother comes in. Place it against the side of your cake. You want to hold it straight up and down, as straight as possible. Hold your icing smoother in the same place and use your other hand to turn the cake turntable. Continue to turn the turntable, scraping the icing off the smoother occasionally so that there isn't too much buildup. I clean off my smoother regularly, and when I scrape the excess buttercream off of it, I usually also wipe it with a paper towel so that there isn't anything left on there that will mess up the buttercream once I place it back on the side of the cake. To do the edges, you can use the icing smoother or an offset spatula. The spatula should be about a 45-degree angle. Pull the icing in towards the middle of the cake, making the corner level with the top of the cake. Once your cakes have chilled and set in the fridge for a quick 5 minutes, it's time to finally start decorating with some simple fondant decoration. Begin to roll out your navy blue fondant. I prefer to roll out my fondant on a silicone mat, ever so lightly dusted with powdered sugar. You'll need to roll out 2-inch tall strips, about 16 inches long, to wrap our 6-inch cake. Lightly brush with a tiny amount of water and wrap the bottom of your cake with your first navy blue fondant strip. You'll take your next strip of fondant with a peekaboo triangle cut out for the top of the cake and follow those same steps. Now using our same Sailor Scout colors, we're gonna work on our Sailor Scout bow that's gonna go right on top of our cake, right in the front. So it's like a nice little pretty fondant bow. So we'll take our yellow fondant and roll it out on a lightly dusted surface. Then using a bow template, which you can find in the recipe link below, we're gonna cut out 4 bow pieces in total here, 2 for the back and 2 for the front. Simply pull away the remaining fondant once it's all cut out and store for another cake. Now let's brush the back of each bow segment before gently pressing into our cake. Starting with the back of the bow first, to give dimension, we're going to gently press it into our cake and then add on our 2 top bow pieces over that. To finish up our simple fondant bow here, we're just going to follow those same steps for the opposite side. Or if you started for the back, follow those same steps for the top pieces of your fondant bow. Wrapping up our bow, we're going to add a navy blue fondant circle cutout and press that gently on top and in the middle of our bow. With our cake decorated with some simple fondant decorations and looking pretty awesome so far, let's begin to work on our white chocolate cake decorations. Now what I did here was print out my template and taped it onto my tabletop. I then placed a piece of parchment paper over and outlined the design. Once you have your template ready, you can melt down your white chocolate and begin to pipe out your design. When piping the white chocolate, it should be slightly warm but not too hot. The hotter the chocolate, the more quickly it will flow out of your piping bag. If it's too cool, it will clog the hole. The key to piping with melted chocolate is to keep a bowl of very hot water close by. When your piping bag starts hardening up, just dip it in the water for a bit, pat dry, and get back to piping. Once you have the outline, you can just fill in with more melted white chocolate where needed. Now, just like with royal icing, we're going to push out our melted white chocolate to the edges and make sure we get full coverage here. You can do that with a small skewer, a knife, or a lollipop stick. Just don't use your fingers in case the melted chocolate is still very, very warm to the touch. After you're done piping your white chocolate, Just set it aside and let it cool and harden for a quick 10 to 15 minutes. Once your white chocolate cake decorations have hardened, you want to carefully remove them from the parchment paper, grab yourself a little paintbrush, and get ready to hand paint these with some sparkly luster dust. To finish up our white chocolate decoration, we're going to use some luster dust to give it some color and lots of sparkle. Now for Sailor Uranus' space sword, we're going to use silver luster dust and gold luster dust. If you're not familiar with luster dust, it's a type of decorating powder used in cake and candy decorating to add color and sparkle to all your desserts. Now I will say though, not all luster dust are edible, so make sure when you're purchasing, your bottle reads edible. To use luster dust, you can easily just brush it on some molten chocolate, drips, and even fondant. Now, I love an intense saturated color when it comes to baking and decorating. So I like to mix my luster dust with a couple of drops of vodka or lemon extract. Though I do lean towards vodka because honestly, it lets me paint my luster dust with a nice consistency and dry super quick for a gorgeous saturated color. Now when you're all done hand painting your white chocolate decoration, allow to dry for a quick minute or two. It should not need longer than 5 minutes though, especially if you're using the vodka. Now that our luster dust has dried on our white chocolate decorations, it's going to be time to put all of our finishing touches on our Sailor Moon inspired cake. That is looking pretty awesome, almost too awesome to eat, but we're gonna eat it anyway. For the top of our cake, let's pipe on dollops of yellow buttercream. And lastly, to bring it all together, we're gonna take our hand-painted white chocolate Sailor Uranus space sword and gently place it on top of the cake for a fully amazing, delicious looking Sailor Uranus inspired chocolate cake. Well, thank you all for stopping by. I had so much fun sharing my love for all things Sailor Moon and showing you all how to make a Sailor Moon inspired cake. If you're like me and you are a huge fan of Sailor Moon, let's talk about it because I can talk about it for hours and hours and hours. But anyway, if you're a big fan of Sailor Moon or just a big fan of all things chocolate cake, definitely be sure to give this video a like down below. It really helps out, lets me know I'm baking up recipes you all like, you enjoy, and you want to see more of. And if you want even more Sailor Moon themed desserts, because I've got so many ideas. I've been rewatching the show and I'm just like, forgot how amazing this was. So there's a lot of ideas in here. I definitely want to make them. But if you want to see more, again, let me know in those comments and subscribe and ring the bell to turn notifications so you don't miss out every time I post a new video. Because there's a lot of ideas and I have a lot of Sailor Moon clothes that I would love to wear in videos. Plus, I still have 19 KitchenAid sandwiches to give away. So if you haven't already, be sure to enter down below with the link. Once you enter the giveaway, you'll have 19 chances to win and lots of ways to enter. Lastly, don't forget, if you make your own Sailor Moon inspired dessert, because we gotta share that Sailor Moon love together. Definitely give a tag on Instagram and let me see what you're baking up in your kitchen. Alrighty, well I'm gonna go. I'm gonna eat a slice of our delicious Sailor Moon inspired dessert, watch some Sailor Moon, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. I hope you all get to do the same. And as always, I will see you all in the next video very soon. Bye.